If you are into mysteries with a fantasy storyline, this is for you. Hi, I'm Grannie SolVRA, and today I'm reviewing Shadow Point. This is a strong fantasy storyline game, and there are many puzzles that are part of this story. In fact, there are over 80 different puzzles in this VR experience. However, the ones that remain with me the most from this game are the ones that at first felt a little bit bizarre and gave me a what, what's going on kind of moment. This game genuinely intrigued me, mostly due to its creative puzzles that pushed my perspectives of physics, space, and time. Those that I felt spatially challenged me and made me really scratch my head to try to work them out. Having said that, though, having objects to cast shadows to solve puzzles was a delight, and many of those were fairly simple to do. So if you're not really into puzzles, don't be turned off by the fact that I've said there are over 80 puzzles in this, because the fundamental thing is you make shadows, hence the name. In many ways, as you age, you tend to get niggles about the possibility of declining memory and brain function. Research has shown us that undertaking activity to keep your brain ticking over is valuable to do as you age. Doing puzzles like those in Shadow Point helps push that challenge of memory and analytical thinking. It leaves you feeling better about yourself, and of course, your brain is then stimulated. Even if sometimes I said, "Oh, of course, that was how to do it. Why didn't I think of that sooner?" That was still a feel-good moment. There are many rewarding yet easy to do puzzles in this game, especially at the start. However, to conquer the mind-bending physics puzzle challenges meant that I needed to be very persistent when I came across those bizarre gravity worlds where things were upside down, sideways, and objects changed direction, including myself, where I was able to walk on walls and move through portals. That persistence resulted in pure joy when I finally worked some of these things out. Sometimes I'd leave a puzzle for another day and let my mind chew through it overnight, or sometimes think about it over a few days. Admittedly, on occasions, I cheated. I looked up videos of professional players and how they'd solve specific puzzles. But it's great to have those online little hints and tips, if you don't want to call it cheat. It's like a cheat sheet, but it's really just guides. I have to say, thinking about how to solve puzzles did keep me occupied and very happy. Plus, it resulted in conversations with my husband as I stepped through my dilemma on ways to solve it, adding a nice social aspect to this VR game. Subtitles are available and language support is in English, French, German, Spanish, Japanese, and Korean. You can play this game standing or sitting. It's actually a rich, lengthy storyline, and hence it takes quite a while to complete. So being able to sit on occasion was welcomed. I took my time to finish this game. I actually spread it over weeks. Actually, it was probably months. I'm aware that professional gamers complete it fairly rapidly, but I like shortish play cycles, just a little bit every day versus a binge rush through it. Taking it my way means I can play at a time and a pace that works best for me. The story. You are cast as Alex, who's off on an adventure to solve a 12-year-old mystery of a schoolgirl named Lorna McCabe. Lorna went missing on a field trip at the Shadow Point Observatory. At the time, search parties failed to turn up anything. The lead detective, Edgar Mansfield, ended up disappearing as well. leaving his diary behind. The game begins and you ascend the abandoned observatory via cable car. That is, after you work out how to get the cable car started. I really enjoyed the cable car ride, even although it wasn't photorealistic. And surprisingly for me, even although it was movement related, I did not experience any motion sickness, which is always a bonus. Once at the observatory, you discover a multi-entry portal to a fantasy world and you begin your search for Lorna. The narrative includes elements of time travel, time displacement, and seemingly magical objects as you search and you solve those many puzzles we talked about earlier. You drop in and out at various points throughout Lorna's life, basically from her age of 12 through to the end of her life at 89. Yes, the disappearance was only 12 years ago. However, Lorna lives in a fantasy world where obviously due to time distortions, she ages more rapidly than in our world. The character of Lorna is very well developed and believable. 12-year-old Lorna behaves as youthful, feisty, almost brattish, and is self-proclaimed queen of her world. 15 to 21-year-old Lorna is still feisty, but with a mixture of both optimism and despair facing reality. 54-year-old Lorna has become dishevelled and she's full of mixed emotions driven by that life experience. 89-year-old Lorna is sad and lonely. Who wouldn't be after spending 77 years on your own in a fantasy world with no family and only a bird for a friend? There are 8 chapters or levels or worlds, whatever you want to call them, where at each one you're presented with a number of sun and moon puzzles to complete before progressing to the next world. Well, the sun ones you must complete, the moon are optional and they open up extra benefits. These images name the worlds and how many puzzles you are to solve. The Crown, the Huntress, Astrolabe, the Mattock, the Pendulum, the Anchor, the Eyeglass, the Garden, plus there's a final world called the Construct. A really good thing is that after you've completed all of the sun puzzles, you may come back into the world at any time to do moon puzzles. Sometimes I found it difficult to locate where the moon puzzles were or how to solve them. So being able to re-enter the world was quite useful because I'd pop in, have a look, couldn't find it, get a little bit frustrated, think about it, then go back and look again or look something up online. The graphics are almost cartoony, comic book kind of styled. However, they're pleasant to look at and they were good visual quality. When I was in Shadow Point, the worlds that had the outside views and I was able to look out to the horizon, even although it was obviously not realistic scenes, I still experienced that feeling of peace and relaxation that I get when I view scenery in real life. There's a cute looking backpack where you store objects you find and you need for future puzzle solving. It adds both a fun and practical element to the game. I did come across a couple of bugs. First and most frustrating one was I was unable to get a key that was in the bottom of a well. I tried and tried. I even tried to be innovative and work out ways to put water in the well, hoping that the key was wooden and it would float so that I could then reach it. I have to admit, this did make me very frustrated. However, I see online others did not have my problem. They just reached in and easily grabbed it. I guess the main tip here is, if at first you don't succeed, try again. I tried again and I got it. I also had some issues trying to feed an apple to a dragon. That was less frustrating than the key in the well issue. However, overall, it was a smooth running game with many objects to grab, ropes to pull, objects to throw into different dimensions, there's a hint, and objects to store to move around. For all Star Trek fans out there, including myself, The starring voice in this game is Sir Patrick Stewart.
The day she vanished, Lorna was last seen outside the planetarium, heading to the basement. It began here.
He provides the English voiceover narrative. This is based on the journal of Edgar Mansfield, that detective that I mentioned that then also disappeared. This narration provides you with clues as well as further aspects to the storyline. 4 actors play the voice of Lorna and all blend in perfectly. I didn't even realise that different actors had been used until I researched that part. Each voice talent brought their own spark to the feisty and emotional Lorna. The music is beautifully subtle. At times, the music is suitably dramatic, but not over the top. Good mood-setting music overall. I played this on PlayStation 4, and movement was via teleportation and clicking to turn around. I personally like this controlled style of moving, as sometimes in smooth or freestyle movement, I experience motion sickness. Maybe I'm just a control freak, as I don't even like cruise control in my car. Puzzles in the game revolve around projecting shadows on surfaces to match shapes, meaning that the bulk of the gameplay is about locating and manipulating objects in front of light to make their shadows match the outlines on the walls. It starts extremely simply and increases in complexity as new tactics are introduced. At first, you simply hold an object, then later a magic lens transforms shapes is introduced, followed by reflective tricks with mirrors, and then the previously mentioned gravity-defying tactics. Mirrors in VR really get to me. To stand there looking at a reflection that's not you, but it is you, and does reflect your hand movements, it's an incredible experience. Wouldn't it be amazing if one day the reflection turned out to be an image of a younger you, that you inside feel is really you and who you are? I'm sure VR will get us there. The different techniques allow everything to be solvable while not being instantly empowered, though a bit of trial and error might be needed on some puzzles. I found that with more complex puzzles, that if I backed away and tried to think of the puzzle from a different angle, I ended up working it out. And that's what's great for your brain. Once you completed a world, another portal opens that takes you onto a ledge where you did one or more shadow puzzles that then transported you out to the central control room and access to the next world. My final verdict: an extensive, intriguing game with a unique storyline and puzzles of many skill levels. In my opinion, I think this is a great game for those who love a mystery, and also those newish to VR. If I was completely new to VR, I'd start with an easier one, such as Vacation Simulator, that I recently reviewed, so have a look at that. And then I would progress onto this one. If you're enjoying these reviews, please subscribe and tell your friends. Come on, join in. Let's have fun.